Hey everyone, this is Stephen James from Project Life Mastery. Today I want to share with you how I'm investing right now amid the coronavirus panic. As of right now, the coronavirus has been labeled as a pandemic, and it's been affecting the global economy. It's been affecting Europe and Canada, United States, everywhere. And markets have been crashing. People have been selling off stocks, certain industries and sectors and stocks have been plummeting in value. And there's a lot of fear and panic right now because people believe that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And during this time, people don't quite know what's going to happen. It's still so early, especially in the United States and Canada, where it's still spreading every day. And there's a lot of fear that it could end up what's happening right now in Italy. And during this time of panic and fear, a lot of businesses, a lot of people's lives are going to be affected quite a bit. And it's going to take a while, maybe several months, before things kind of settle down a little bit, I believe, and things kind of get contained and more stabilized to some extent. I mean, we're still a year to year and a half away from a vaccine. But during this time, during these moments right now of fear, during these moments of panic and the pessimism that's happening right now, if you're an investor, if you're prepared mentally, emotionally, and financially, then right now can actually be one of the greatest opportunities of your lifetime. And I want to share with you what I'm doing as an investor. Now, first thing I'm going to say, my heart goes out to all people that have been affected by the coronavirus. I know it's a real threat, especially to those that are senior, those that have underlying health conditions, those that are young and healthy and have a strong immune system. It's not maybe a big of a threat to your health and overall well-being, but I'm more concerned about the threat, to be honest with you, in terms of how it's affecting people's livelihoods, their jobs, their finances, businesses, small businesses especially, being hit pretty hard by this. And so there's definitely a huge consequence from this, and everyone's going to be affected by it in some way, shape, or form. But as an investor, when I put my investing hat on, I have to make the responsible decision for my finances. And right now there's some great opportunity because there's a lot of stocks that are incredible blue chip companies that you can buy at a discount. And I want to share with you my approach and my mindset, my philosophy. Now, a few things I want to share. I put out a few videos that might be relevant to this that kind of set this up. One is I put out a video earlier this year sharing what I'm doing and how I'm preparing for the 2020 recession. Now, whether or not this is going to be a recession, I don't know. I know right now in the United States, it's been triggered as a bear market, which is when stocks drop from 20% or more from the all-time high. And a correction typically happens when a stock, the S&P 500 drops 10% to 20% from all-time highs, and that typically only happens every year or so. A recession or a bear market often only happens every decade. And so right now we're entering into that territory and we haven't hit bottom yet. Things are going to get worse. There's a lot of businesses that are going to be affected by this. And so if you're prepared for this, this can be a great advantage for you. And that video that I put out shared a little bit about how I've been preparing for this very moment. And then I did put out another video sharing how I'm preparing for the coronavirus. That video went more into how I'm preparing mentally, emotionally, with my health and my immune system, as well as financially and with my business. Today, I want to more address how I'm investing, my investing mindset and approach, and what I've been doing over the last 2 weeks, today, and also moving forward financially around this. And so I want to be a bit more specific in this video to support some of you that are looking to profit and take advantage of this opportunity right now in the same way that I am. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that I've been preparing for this for several years. I've been, for the last few years, learning about investing, preparing mentally and emotionally, and putting money aside, building a cash reserve, because I knew that a recession was going to inevitably come. Every 10 years, every decade or so, there's been a recession. And we've had such a long bull market that it's just a matter of time. And I didn't predict the coronavirus. I don't think anybody did. But I knew there was going to be some sort of correction or at least a recession that's coming. And so the first thing I want to say is that I've been preparing for this. And I think right now, based on where you are financially, mentally, and emotionally, it's a little bit challenging to take advantage of something like this out of reaction, rather than being proactive over the last few months or years to make sure you're set up to take advantage of this. Because to really take advantage of opportunities like this, you got to know what you're doing, and you don't want to make decisions out of fear and, not having all the information and, being uneducated, I'd say, when it comes to investing. And so I want to kind of plant that seed and also share with you that what I share with you is not what I'd recommend for you. It's really what I'm doing, because I'm not an expert when it comes to investing. I can't tell you what to buy. You're responsible for that. You're responsible, for how you spend your money and how you manage your money. I'm just going to share with you what I'm doing and what my approach has been, and you can kind of take from that if you'd like. So for me, I'm a long-term investor. I always have a long-term horizon. And the people that I follow, like a Warren Buffett, he's a value investor and he invests for the long term. And so I really take a lot of his approach. One thing that Warren Buffett is known for saying is that you want to be greedy when people are fearful, and you want to be fearful when people are greedy. And right now, when there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of great opportunities. Sir John Templeton, one of the greatest investors of all time, said that you can make the most amount of wealth under maximum pessimism, when people are the most scared, when they're the most fearful. And if you had that approach and mentality back in 2008 when the market crashed and you had money put aside, you're prepared for it, you could have changed your life in so many ways and created a lot of wealth. And so for me right now, I've been preparing. I missed out on 2008, but since then I knew that I was going to prepare to take advantage of this, because when you're young like myself and maybe like yourself, when you're a millennial, you're going to have quite a few recessions and moments like this that will happen throughout your lifetime. And if you're smart and proactive, you can really take advantage of it in a great way. And for me right now, I'm looking to double or triple my net worth as things kind of rebound over the next year or so. So my approach to this, guys, is long-term. Now, right now I'm buying stocks, and I'm not selling anything. I haven't sold any stocks over the last few weeks, and I don't plan on selling anything. Now, when you invest in something, especially as a long-term holder like myself, I'm investing in blue chip companies. I'm investing in companies that are large cap stocks that have, a market cap of some over $1 trillion, like Apple and, Amazon, for example, but also others that are in, billions of dollars. And so these are companies that have been around in some cases for decades and will continue to be around, that have an optimistic horizon for. So I'm not investing, I never really invest in anything too risky. I'm not investing in penny stocks. I'm not investing in certain industries or sectors that are very volatile. I do have a small percent of investments in cannabis and a few sectors like that. But for the most part, I'm investing in companies before the coronavirus that can withstand turbulent times like this. And so I'll share with you some of the stocks that I've been buying and some of the sectors I've been investing in. But because of that, I'm investing in companies I don't need to sell, because I know and I'm optimistic they'll rebound and they'll come out, even stronger than ever on the other side of this. And that right now there's a dip, and that I can actually buy a lot of these companies that I've already invested in and believe in. I can get them at a cheaper price. I can get them much less than what there were a few weeks ago when they're at all-time highs. And so for me, there's an opportunity here if you have that long-term approach and you can hold. And Warren Buffett and different investors like that, they've always been very optimistic on the U.S. economy, that things always have gotten better. If you look at history, going through the Depression and a variety of recessions and drops, things have always come out and recovered and gotten better and stronger. So I have that mindset and the mentality going into this. And so right now I've been buying more at a discounted price, and specifically some of the stocks that I like and own and buy, first and foremost, is index funds. ETFs, exchange traded funds. And so this is always for me one of the most secure ways to invest, because an index fund, an ETF, is buying a group of stocks, a group of companies. And so for example, if I buy the S&P 500 index, and I can buy it through a company like Vanguard. Vanguard is one of the leaders in index funds and ETFs, founded by Jack Bogle, passed away not long ago. But they are really great because they're kind of like mutual funds, but there's no active management behind it. They're passive. And because of that, they have very low expenses, a very low expense ratio. Like most Vanguard ETFs have maybe a 0.10% expense to it. And so it's an opportunity that I don't have to buy an individual stock and put all my eggs in one basket. I can be diversified and buy one fund, one ETF that owns 500 stocks, the top 500 in the United States. And as those go up or down, my stock goes up or down based on that. But also they pay dividends as well, which is also great. And so for me, the first things that I always build up my positions of is the ETFs. And so a variety through Vanguard or iShares, and there's maybe a few others that you can find out there. But for me, that's building up my positions in the S&P 500. So the stock symbol for that would be VOO. That's the ticker for it that you can find in most brokerage accounts. Even buying emerging market ETFs. I buy certain sectors. So for example, crude oil has been taking a huge beating lately. And so there's one, I think the symbol for that is VDE, which is an ETF of oil stocks. To buying, you can even buy an ETF of the world market, so I invest in that. I own ETFs for real estate investment trusts. So REITs are what they're known as. And so there's a variety there that I can buy to take advantage of the real estate market. There's ETFs that I own that are just stocks that are dividend appreciation stocks or high yield dividend stocks. And so you could do more research on them, but I think, one of the most important ones to own that Warren Buffett recommends, and even Tony Robbins, when he wrote the book Money Master the Game and Unshakable, which is a great starting investing book that everybody should start with. I'll link, by the way, to some of these below in the description for you guys. Money Master the Game, Unshakable by Tony Robbins. He went out and interviewed the top 50 billionaire investors and extracted from them the most important things that they advise people to do and how to invest. And so it's a great introductory book, and it preaches a lot about ETFs and index funds. And so the S&P 500 is, what Warren Buffett recommends that everybody should own, and just kind of hold it, over many, many years. And so for me, I'm building up my positions there. And then when it comes to more individual stocks, there's a few ones that I like in different sectors I've been investing in. So first, I like invest in all financial, not all, but most of the big banks and financial companies. And so in Canada, I'm investing in all the top banks, the top 6 big banks, from TD Bank to Bank of Nova Scotia to BMO to CIBC to Royal Bank. And then when it comes to the United States, I'm also invested in JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and Procter & Gamble and Prudential. So I'm heavily invested there. I also like to invest in a lot of tech companies, a lot of tech stocks like Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, Shopify. Those stocks tend not to drop as much as others just because a lot of people believe a lot of tech stocks can do well. Microsoft, for example, during this time, I know a lot of people have been buying Zoom and Microsoft because a lot of companies now, they're doing their meetings over Skype and Zoom conference calls rather than actually doing conferences in person. And so those have been going up to some extent, or maybe Zoom, but not Microsoft. But also, even Google, which owns YouTube, during times like that, more people, when they don't want to go out and expose themselves to be at risk of coronavirus, they're going to be at home and they're going to spend more time on YouTube. They're going to spend more time on Google. They're going to buy things online from Shopify and Amazon. So it actually opens up a lot of opportunity because less people now are going to be going to retail stores, to malls and shopping centers. Less people will go to Target and Costco and Home Depot and Walmart. And so there's some great opportunity there with some tech stocks and companies that I like. I invest in Salesforce, I invest in PayPal, I invest in Oracle. There's a whole variety of tech ones that I like. And then I also invest in MasterCard and Visa and American Express and Disney and some airline companies like Delta. So there's a variety, I'm not going to go through my whole portfolio with you guys, but there's a lot of ones that I like that, again, I'm not just investing in these based on the headlines and the coronavirus. These are companies that I've owned beforehand, that I already believe in and did research for, that I believe are great companies, because you can't just reactionary buy something just because it's dropped down in value. You want to actually buy and invest in a good business that will stand the test of time and actually recover from this and end up better off for it. And there might be some sectors that can take longer to recover from. I know right now, airline industries have been hit pretty hard, and hotels and cruise ships. And some of those might take a while before they recover. But I do know that often when this gets contained and things do get better, I believe we're going to have a huge surge, because often when people have been isolating themselves at home and not going out and depriving themselves from travel and entertainment, then most often what happens is people are going to want to go to Disneyland. They're going to want to go to the movies again. They're going to want to go to Six Flags Magic Mountain. They're going to want to travel and go on a cruise and all of that once this subsides. And we're still a ways away from that. And so if you have that long-term horizon And you don't need the money, okay, which is important, that all the money that I'm investing, I don't need it. I don't need it right now because I've got a great business, provides enough cash flow, I can support myself from that. I've saved enough money for an emergency that I can live off of if anything happens to my business. I've got that nest egg put aside and I don't touch that money. I don't touch my savings. I don't touch my emergency fund. I have another bucket of money that I put aside for opportunities like that, and that's what I'm investing right now in this. And so when you're in that position, you're a lot better off because I'll never sell these stocks because something happens to my business and I need the money. That's not a good idea, right? These are stocks and companies that I can hold for a long period of time and I don't need to touch it, and there'll be volatility, but there'll be ups and downs. It might be a year or two before things really start to recover, but I know that when they do recover, and by the way, I'm still making dividends during this time, right? So a lot of these stocks are paying dividends during this time, which is great. I can reinvest those and buy more at a cheaper price, but I know a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, things will recover. We'll have another bull market. That's what history has always shown us. And so I'm optimistic in that outlook. And because of this, I can create a lot of wealth when things do recover in that way and benefit from a huge way. And especially when I had that long-term horizon of 10, 20, 30, even 40 years from now, because a lot of this money is gonna support myself when I retire one day. And so that's my approach. That's my mentality of this. I do buy a bit of gold, so I do have a small percentage of my investments in gold. I have bought some oil stocks, which have been taking a hit, ExxonMobil, Chevron. But I think, again, you have to do your research and make sure that you're responsible for the decisions that you make and that you know more about what you're doing. And one thing that I do as part of my morning ritual, because a lot of people ask me, how do I learn investing and whatnot? For me, every single morning when the markets open, I'm watching the news. I'm on Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance is my go-to. I've got the app on my phone. I play the live streams they do, the live shows where they interview different people, different experts, and I learn a lot from that, and I get educated on what's going on. And then I also read a lot of articles every day on Yahoo Finance just to understand things. And there's still a lot of things I don't understand. I'm not a sophisticated investor compared to a lot of these other experts out there, but I try to learn as much as I can every day, and that helps to educate me. And I just stay up to date with everything that's going on, and I pay attention to what Warren Buffett's doing, what Paul Tudor Jones is doing, what Carl Icahn is doing, all the top investors, to see what they're doing as well. Now, a lot of you have been asking me as well, in comments and whatnot, what kind of brokerage account would I recommend? How do I get started? How do I set up a brokerage account? So if you don't have a brokerage account and you want to dabble a little bit and get started with investing, now can be a good time to. I'll put some links below to some that you can get set up with. A lot of them you can trade from your phone. And there's a lot that actually have zero trading fees, zero commissions, because some of them you have to pay a certain amount of money for every trade that you make. There's others that are available where they'll have maybe $1 per trade or even nothing in some cases. And there's even some brokerage accounts right now that are actually giving new people that sign up for an account, 2 free stocks. So that can be pretty exciting for you guys to get some stocks just by signing up for an account. So again, I'll link to those below for you guys to check out and set up an account with. I know there's certain options available for those that are in the United States, others in Canada, and then others based on where you live in the world. I'm not quite sure. You'll have to do some research on that. Often going to your banks and asking them as well can be great, because a lot of banks have brokerage accounts available for their clients. But maybe I'll do some more videos that will talk more about investing and how to invest and how to get started with it. So I'll put some links below for you guys to educate yourself in some resources that I mentioned here and that I'd recommend for getting started with this. If you're a member of my Life Mastery Accelerator program, I've done some videos that go a little bit more into getting started with investing, and even one that I'm putting out on the top 10 stocks that I'd recommend for a beginner. So if you're a member of LMA, Life Mastery Accelerator, I'll put a link for that below for you guys as well to join that training. So that's what I'm doing right now. And so for me, I'm not panicking, I'm calm. I've been waiting for this opportunity. Even though my stocks, my investments have dropped significantly, the only time you lose money is if you sell. So I'm holding right now, I have that patience, and I'm buying more of these great companies at a cheaper price, and I'm optimistic things will recover and get better, and that I'll prosper from this long term. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, give this a thumbs up here on YouTube, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys again soon. God bless you and take care.